Get ready, because today we're going to talk about thrillers, and specifically 7 key elements that define them. By the way, my name is Brandon McNulty. I'm the author of Bad Parts, also the author of Entry Wounds, and welcome to my writing channel. This past week I started reading How to Write a Damn Good Thriller by James Frey. And if you're not familiar with James Frey, he's written a bunch of different writing guides, ones like How to Write a Damn Good Novel, How to Write a Damn Good Novel 2, How to Write a Damn Good Mystery. He writes a lot of damn good books, and I figured I should check out his genre-focused book on thrillers. So I started reading this book, and I thought one of the early chapters had a great breakdown of these 7 key elements of a thriller. He calls them the 7 pillars of a great thriller, but I think you could think of them as elements or ingredients or whatever you want to call them. And I wanted to go over those 7 things today. But first, let's start off real quick by defining what a thriller is. And according to James Frey, in this book, he says that a thriller is a story where a clever hero has to foil evil. And that word clever is very important here, because in thriller type stories, you want a hero who is smart, who can outsmart a villain. Now, the first key element of a thriller is high stakes. And when we're talking about stakes, we're talking about what a character has to gain as well as what a character has to lose. It's very important that you have both. That's what gives your story impact. And when we're focusing on the stakes of a story, you can think about a character's personal stakes, meaning who they care about and whether or not that character is in danger. Or you can also think about larger scale stakes, things like whether or not the whole town is in danger, or the whole city, or the whole world. Number 2 is unity of opposites. And what this means is that a character is locked into a situation. They can't simply walk away from the challenge, or walk away from the villain, or walk away from anything. They have to be locked into the situation. One of the easiest ways to do this is to give your character a job where they're obligated to solve a problem. Oftentimes in thrillers you have a police officer as the main character, or a federal agent, or somebody else who has to foil a dangerous villain. And it's important that your characters are locked into whatever conflict they're facing. I can't tell you how many times I've read or watched a haunted house story where a family just moves into a house, they figure out that it's haunted, and while I'm watching the story, I'm wondering to myself, why don't they just stay at a hotel? Why don't they just stay with a friend? Why don't they just move into another house? And oftentimes there's not a good enough explanation for it. So if you are writing a story like that, be sure that there's a legit reason for that lock-in. Number 3 is seemingly impossible odds. And very simply, you want to make your audience believe that the hero will fail. Even if it's obvious that the hero is going to succeed, even if it's obvious that there's going to be a happy ending, we need to believe that something is going to go wrong for the hero, that the hero can never match up to the villain. And one of the best ways to do this is by portraying your villain as being this highly effective, highly dangerous character. And if you can send the message to your audience that the villain is unstoppable and you make that audience believe it, then when the hero does eventually overcome that villain, it's going to have all the more impact. Number 4 is moral struggle. And this means that you're establishing the ideas of good and evil in your story world. And you want to put your hero on the side of the good. Now, this doesn't mean that you have to have this paint by numbers, black and white, good and evil kind of thing going on. You can still have a scenario where your main character is an anti-hero and they're going up against a villain who just happens to be more corrupt. There can be plenty of gray areas here, but you do need that moral struggle and you need the hero on the side of the good. Number 5, ticking clock. This means that you create a deadline or multiple deadlines in order to ramp up the tension in your story. For instance, you might have a scenario where if you don't deliver the money to the drop-off point by midnight, your daughter will lose another one of her fingers. If we don't kill all the vampires by sundown, they'll overtake the town. My book Entry Wounds had a ticking clock, and if you're not familiar with the story, it's about a guy who picks up a haunted gun and he cannot put it down until he kills 6 people with it. Now, if he doesn't kill one person each day, the gun overtakes his mind and starts shooting people without his consent. So he's working against that clock so that he has a choice as to who dies. Number 6 is menace. This means that you have a villain who makes threats and carries out threats over the course of the story. And it's very important that your villain delivers on their threats. You need a villain, and you need to show that this villain is capable of harming people, dismembering people, killing people. Because when you do put your main characters or other sympathetic characters in danger, your audience needs to believe that that danger is real. The only way to do that is to show early on and throughout the story that the villain is capable of doing horrible things. And number 7 is thriller type characters. And this goes back to what we talked about at the beginning of the video when I defined what a thriller is. It's about a clever hero who is trying to foil real evil. Now, you need a clever hero. That's somebody who's capable of using their smarts to overcome the villain. But you also need a clever villain, somebody who can fight back against that hero so that we have a strong back and forth between the two characters. If you think of the movie The Dark Knight, where you have Batman, who's a clever hero, he's this guy he's created this secret identity in order to clean up Gotham, stop a lot of criminals, and he goes up against this clever villain, the Joker. The Joker's very clever because he uses Batman's strengths against Batman. Batman's secret identity, for instance, that's one of his strengths. But what the Joker does, he says, okay, I'm going to take that strength and I'm going to say that for every day you don't reveal who you are, I'm going to kill another person. And that puts Batman in a difficult situation, and it creates a strong back and forth over the course of this story. So I hope this helps. Question today, which one of these 7 elements do you think is most important? Let us know in the comments section below. Thank you guys for watching. If you want to support the channel, please pick up a copy of either one of my books and be sure to leave reviews on Amazon. Also, be sure to check out my other videos, like, share, and subscribe. And as always, remember to keep on writing.